Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Classic Arcade Repairs. This is probably going to be a quick one, but I wanted to make a video of it and record it anyway because it's my very first Omega race that I've got in. And I just built my harness. So we have on the main board right there, and this one does not have a ton of acid damage, battery damage, so it's not bad. We have our our 5 volts and ground right here, and then there's a unregulated 5 volts basically that is used in the battery charger circuit. So that's that one. We have our AC, and the Atari AR is perfect for this because it has a center tapped 36 volt AC, so you get 18 center and 18, which is exactly what Omega Race uses. So that's actually perfect. And this is our connector going, carrying our XYZ and ground to the monitor. And this plugs into the soundboard. I don't have the speaker wire hooked up yet. I'll do that at some other point. But this does provide the 12 volts and ground over here for this section. So yeah, this is done. We're going to put the board up, and what was reported was this will boot, but it just has lines or something like that. So we will go ahead and take a look. Okay, so we're hooked up. Back here you see our connections. There's our edge connector, our voltage connector input, and then I have the power hooked up here, 12 volts. And I've got it turned on, and this is what's going on. Not a whole lot. So we're going to shut this thing off. We don't like that. And the first thing I'm going to do, I see a lot of prior work where a lot of the stuff has been socketed, cleaned and socketed. So I just kind of want to go over some of this prior work. Just make sure nothing's shorted. We don't have any lines shorted or anything like that, or broken traces or anything like that. So let's verify all of that and then go from there. Okay, doing some continuity checks. There is an open trace here. I don't know if I can do this one-handed. It's going to be tough. But this 4th pin, which is a data line, I don't know. The 4th one to the 4th. There's no continuity. See, here's the 3rd. That one's fine. Here's the 2nd. But this one right here, there's no continuity. And that is a data bit line. So, and I've verified that I can get continuity from here to over here. It's just not this one. So I'm going to remove this socket and take a look at it, do a repair, put the socket back in, and that'll probably fix it. We will see. I went ahead and beeped out all this other work too, and it seems okay. I don't see anything else. It's just this one trace. So let me fix that. Alright, I have desoldered my socket. You can see it fell right out. But there's some other hackery going on here. I think I'm just going to remove these 2 sockets as well and fix this properly. So yeah, I don't like this big green wire there. It's exposed there. It's just a short waiting to happen. So I am going to fix that proper. And that big green wire right there, I went to desolder it to remove it, and it kind of came right off. After I desoldered that spot, it came right off. So this over here wasn't even really soldered. So, yep. I'll continue on. Okay, on second thought, I don't mind those two bodges. That is okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a likewise bodge where that big thick green wire was to fix that one. And then I'll fix this one since I've removed it. And then I'm going to clean all this up, but those two bodges are fine. Okay, here's another ugly looking something or other, so I'm going to address that as well. If I have to do a nice wire wrap bodge, I will. But this prior work needs to be gone over as well. So I'm going to spend a little time going over that, beeping it out, making sure everything's okay. Alright, yeah, I can't get close enough in there to see, but the through hole on that fourth pin up, the through hole is torn out. The plated through hole was torn out of the board. So I think actually probably the best way to fix this is the bodge on the bottom. So I will probably just put the socket back in and run a bodge. I did this red wire here. And I did this red wire up here. So I'll just do another wire. I'll do another bodge on this one. So, all right. Okay, just poking around, I actually just found another broken trace, and it's from right here. And this is the one of the enable lines for these rams. All of these pin 10 should be connected. You can see the trace. The trace comes down right here, comes over here, comes down, comes through over here, right here. All the way along these rams. Every one of them. And it's good up until this guy. And then the continuity fails. We have continuity from this pin to right here. It's this chip where this is probably another torn out through hole. So I will bodge that as well from here. Once I fix it from here to here, that'll fix it from here to here. So I'm going to run one here to there and pin 4 to here. And then I might have to run that also over to here. So some bodge history, some bodge work going on, but it'll be okay. It'll be, you know, it'll work. So let me get to some repair and I'll be back. Okay, interestingly enough, I fixed those traces, put this thing back together, and I'm getting kind of the exact same thing, which is very strange. Made no difference at all to fix those traces. That's kind of strange, isn't it? Anyway, next thing I'm going to do is test all of the RAM in the Inquisitor and make sure that our RAM is all good. So I will do that next and I'll be back. Okay, so in the Inquisitor I tested all of the RAM and all of the RAM is fine. I did a little bit more trace checking, didn't find anything else bad. So I cleaned up the bottom of the board a bit. Just cleaned some of that flux off of the board. So tomorrow, it's late tonight, so I'm going to pick back up tomorrow. Tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw my Z80 pod on this thing. I got to do a little research about what the, what the addressing is on this, and go through my fluke exercises on this board and make sure I can do everything I need to be doing with that. And yeah, and go from there. Read my dip switches, do the RAM tests, the ROM tests, all that kind of stuff. So that'll be tomorrow. I'm going to do a little reading up on, I'm going to look at the schematic tonight and, pull that information. So I'll be back out tomorrow. See you then. All right, I have got the fluke out on this thing, and I did I just wrote down all the fluke information on here. And I went through and was doing all of this. Everything was good until I got to the vector ROM, and this one's fine. And this one has no decoding because it's giving me random stuff. So we have a problem accessing this vector ROM. So I'm going to look into that. I think I'm going to do a long RAM test on my vector RAM just to make sure that it is completely good to go. I'm pretty sure it is. But I'm going to do a long test on it anyway while I got the fluke out and on it. I've already verified that all my bodging is good with the short test, but I'm going to do a long one. And then we're going to look at why this thing has no decoding to it. Okay, the way that it's looking, I'm doing continuity checks between these two, and the buses should be shared between the two ROMs. And this socket looks to be absolutely terrible. I will set up the camera so that I can use both my hands and go through continuity checks on these between these two ROMs. Okay, there's the two ROMs in question, and I'm going to try to sneak in here real quick. And by the way, I did do the RAM long test, and it turned out fine. So the RAM is not a problem at all. So I'm going to go ahead, and hopefully I'm not too in the way here. But that's the beep. You can hear the beep. You know what, maybe I should put this right here or something yeah. That might be a little closer. Okay. Good. Just going down the pins. Okay, pretty good, right? Moving along. Here's where it starts getting shady. There's no continuity between anything else on here. These are data bits. These should be in common. Nothing. No continuity at all. That socket is trash. So I will go ahead and replace this socket underneath that EEPROM. And I did, when I had the fluke out, I put this EEPROM in this socket and it was fine. It's just this socket. So I'll go ahead and replace that, and hopefully that is it. I think while I have it out, I'll probably just replace both of them. Why not? Yeah, and there you go. I just popped the top off of that, and you can see all of these broken contacts. On this side of that socket. Very strange. I've never seen one that bad. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, I'll go ahead and replace both of these two. Yeah. Boy, these are bad. You know what? I might replace all of them. I think I'm going to replace these damn Midway sockets. These sockets that they used on these boards. I'm going to replace all of these sockets. Okay, and we have all new sockets in the board. All of those. And I replaced the voltage regulators that provide all of the power to the analog section. And the reason, it's just good practice to replace all of these, because all of this analog stuff is basically current circuits. And these things can read the 15-volt regulator, and I've seen this multiple times. The 15-volt regulator can say 15 volts when you measure it, but what's the current doing? That has to be good, constant current. And when these things break down, the current breaks down, and you'll get weird graphics. You'll get weird vectors. You'll have bad pin cushioning, or you'll have just wobbly, out of control vectors where they bloom and stuff like that. So it's just common practice. I always replace the voltage regulators on vector boards. So, yeah. All right. Well, I'll repopulate this thing and we will give it a shot. Hopefully everything is good to go now. All right. I got Omega Race put back together, and I have it actually turned on. And let's look at the vector monitor. This is funny. It is like, it's mirrored as it should be because it plays off of a mirror. But what is going on here? It's sideways. Do I have to turn the yoke? Is that what's going on? I don't know. Is that my harness not right? Or is it just simply the yoke needs to be spun? I don't know. Huh. Weird. It looks good though. I think what I'm going to do is do a little more research and see, does this... I wouldn't imagine you would have to spin the yoke. It should come up right. So let me look into what's going on here. But it looks good. It's working actually, but it's just, it's weird like this. Okay, if you see here, this is this pin out. This is the pin out of the edge connector. It says Y is number 8 and 9 is X. And I know right now I made the red wire X. I have these backwards. I have X and Y backwards. So I'm just going to swap X and Y right here. You see where it says X in and Y in? I'm going to swap those two wires. And that should fix it. Okay, we're back after swapping those two wires. Omega Race in all of its glory. And I made it to where it's cocktail mode, so it's not mirrored. Yeah, this right here says from the edge connector on the main big board, pin 10 goes to J1 pin 19 for cocktail mode. It says question mark, and that's what I've got done right here with this wire. If I remove this, let's see what it does. Well, it stayed like that, so maybe if I reset it, it'll come up mirrored, maybe, you think? Let's wait until it swaps switches, screens. Boy, no wonder so many of these monitors get Omega Race burned into them because these things are so bright. It looks good though. It looks just like it should. No, it's still. I'm going to restart it and see if it comes up mirrored. Let's turn it off. And back on. And the answer is no, it does not come up mirrored. So I don't know. Maybe I got it. Who knows? I'm not worried about it. Anyway, cool. So I do need to do a solution for sound. I need to hook up sound, and I would like to wire. This is the same encoder type deal, I believe, as a Tron spinner. It's a 6-bit encoder, 6 encoder bits. So I'm going to look into that, but we've got we've got all of the mishaps on the board fixed with the bad sockets and the broken traces and stuff. That's all taken care of. New regulators up there. So we're looking good in all of that. So now I'll work on figuring the sound out. How to get that all hooked up so that I can do all that, and hopefully it'd be nice to wire some controls up and be able to kind of half-ass play this. So all right, I'll be back. Okay, I cannot hook up the Tron spinner because it's a different circuit. The encoder for this is different. So I'm going to look into tracking down an Omega Race encoder to use with this. So I can't test that function. But I can test the other inputs, the thrust, fire, all of that. We obviously the sound works good. Both channels are working because the firing is on one channel and thrust, and then this music is on another channel. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera up in front of the monitor, and I'll just mess around grounding out some stuff. For now, that's about as good as I can do. Okay, I am going to go turn off the lights for dramatic effect. Okay, let it focus in here for a second. And then, like I said, I'm going to start a game and I'll just kind of mess around grounding stuff. So 1 player, 1 credit. Let's try this. Okay, here we go. Pathetic, I know. that looks so bright. This game is really bright. It shows up way brighter than Asteroids. Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah, game over. There you go. Omega Race. That's as good as I can do for now. I just don't have an encoder. I'm gonna have to get one. All right. If anyone has an extra one that you want to get rid of, let me know, because I could use one for doing my testing and stuff. Anyway, very good. Omega Race. So we fixed some broken traces, replaced all of the sockets, because this one actually had a bunch of broken contacts. Replaced the voltage regulators up front. I cleaned up a lot of the flux and a lot of the prior work. And yeah, so Omega Race in all of its glory. Cool game. Very cool game. All right, guys. Shout out to the Patreon guys. Appreciate y'all. And we will see you on the next Classic Arcade Repair. Bye for now.